A Life Interrupted, the story of Heather Elvis. Heather Elvis was a vibrant young woman full of life and energy. She had a contagious smile that could light up any room, and a laugh that echoed joy. At 20, she had her whole life ahead of her, filled with dreams and aspirations. She lived in Carolina Forest, South Carolina, a place she called home, surrounded by the scenic beauty of the landscape and the warmth of her community. Heather Elvis was a vibrant young woman. At 20, she had her whole life ahead of her. She lived in Carolina Forest, South Carolina. Heather had dreams, aspirations, and a loving family. Life was good. She was close to her family, often spending time with them, sharing meals and creating memories. Heather was also a planner. She had a journal where she wrote down her goals and dreams, meticulously planning her future. She wanted to make a mark in the world, to achieve something significant. Then she met Sidney Moorer. Sidney was older, almost twice her age. He was a repairman. Their paths crossed unexpectedly. Their connection was undeniable. Sidney was a charismatic man, someone who could easily draw people in with his charm and confidence. Despite the age difference, Heather found herself drawn to him, intrigued by his life experiences and the stories he shared. What began as an acquaintance quickly transformed into something more. They started spending more time together, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. Heather found herself falling for Sidney, captivated by the attention and affection he showered upon her. It was a whirlwind romance, intense and passionate. This wasn't a simple love story, it was a dangerous affair. Their relationship was fraught with complications and secrecy. Sidney was married, and their affair was a ticking time bomb, waiting to explode. The intensity of their emotions often led to heated arguments and confrontations, adding a layer of danger to their already precarious situation. Heather's life, once filled with dreams and aspirations, was now entangled in a web of secrecy and danger. A fateful encounter. Heather and Sidney's paths collide. Heather worked at Tilted Kilt, a popular restaurant in Myrtle Beach. The restaurant buzzed with energy, filled with locals and tourists. It was there that she encountered Sidney Moorer. Sidney had been hired for a repair job at the restaurant. Their initial interactions were purely professional, but something about Heather captivated Sidney. He found himself drawn to her youthful energy and bright smile. Their conversations grew longer, their connection deepening with each passing encounter. Forbidden love, the affair that changed everything. Their relationship was shrouded in secrecy. Sidney was a married man. His wife Tammy was unaware of his infidelity. The affair was a dangerous game fueled by stolen moments and hidden desires. Heather found herself swept away by the intensity of it all. The forbidden nature of their relationship only added to its allure. But lurking beneath the surface was a current of danger. The weight of their secret cast a long shadow over their happiness. A wife scorned Tammy's discovery and the ensuing chaos. The truth, as it always does, eventually came to light. Tammy Moorer, a woman who had always trusted her husband, found herself facing a harsh reality. The signs had been there, subtle and easy to dismiss, but now they were glaringly obvious. The late-night phone calls, the secretive texts, the unexplained absences, all of it pointed to one undeniable conclusion. Tammy Moorer discovered her husband's betrayal. It was a moment that would forever change her life. The messages she found on his phone were explicit, leaving no room for doubt. Her heart pounded as she read through the exchanges, each word cutting deeper than the last. The betrayal was not just emotional, it was a complete violation of the trust she had placed in him. The revelation shattered her world, unleashing a wave of fury and jealousy. Tammy's mind raced with thoughts of revenge. She felt a burning need to confront the other woman, to make her feel the same pain she was experiencing. Her emotions were a whirlwind of anger, hurt, and confusion. She couldn't believe that the man she loved could do something so cruel. Tammy's reaction was swift and fierce. She began to type out messages, her fingers flying over the keyboard. Each word was laced with venom, each sentence a testament to her rage. She wanted Heather to know that she was aware of the affair, that she would not stand idly by while her marriage was torn apart. The messages were relentless, a barrage of anger and accusation. Angry text messages flooded Heather's phone. Heather, the other woman, was caught off guard. She had not anticipated this level of fury. The messages were relentless, each one more threatening than the last. Heather's anxiety grew with each incoming text, her mind racing with fear and uncertainty. She knew she had to respond, but she was paralyzed by the intensity of Tammy's anger. Threats were issued, veiled and overt. Tammy's messages were not just angry, they were menacing. She threatened to expose Heather, to ruin her reputation, to make her pay for the pain she had caused. The threats were a mix of direct and indirect, each one designed to instill fear. Tammy's anger was a force of nature, unstoppable and all-consuming. The situation escalated rapidly, fueled by Tammy's rage and desire for revenge. She couldn't contain her anger, and it spilled over into every aspect of her life. She slammed doors, threw objects, and drove recklessly, her mind consumed by thoughts of retribution. The more she thought about the betrayal, the angrier she became. Her desire for revenge was all-encompassing, leaving no room for rational thought. Heather found herself caught in a web of deceit and anger, desperate to escape the escalating conflict. She felt trapped with no way out, the fear was overwhelming and she knew she had to find a way to protect herself. The situation had spiraled out of control, and Heather was left to navigate the dangerous waters of Tammy's wrath. The conflict had reached a boiling point and there was no telling what would happen next. Section 5. December 18, 2013. The night Heather vanished. December 18, 2013, began like any other day. The sun rose over the quiet neighborhood, casting a warm glow on the small town. People went about their daily routines, unaware of the dark events that would soon unfold. Morning traffic flowed smoothly through the suburban streets, a stark contrast to the turmoil that would later grip the community. But for Heather Elvis, it would be her last. Heather was a vibrant young woman, full of life and dreams. She had a bright future ahead of her, but fate had other plans. Her smile, captured in candid moments, would soon become a haunting memory for those who knew her. She had a date that evening with a young man named Steve Schiraldi. They enjoyed a cozy dinner, laughing and talking, unaware of the impending tragedy. Steve, a kind and gentle soul, had no idea that this would be the last time he would see Heather. After her date, Heather returned home. The night was calm, and everything seemed normal. She closed the door behind her, not knowing that it would be the last time she would step into her home. The house, once filled with her presence, would soon become a place of sorrow and unanswered questions. Phone records revealed a flurry of calls between her and Sidney Moorer. The conversations were intense, filled with emotions that hinted at a complicated relationship. Sidney, a man with a mysterious past, had a significant impact on Heather's life. The calls painted a picture of a connection that was both passionate and tumultuous. A chilling detail emerged, a call from a payphone to Heather's cell, allegedly made by Sidney. The payphone, located in a dimly lit area, added an eerie element to the story. The call, made in the dead of night, raised many questions and suspicions. What was said during that call? Why did Sidney use a payphone? These questions would haunt investigators and the community alike. Later that night, security footage captured a truck resembling Sidney's at Peachtree Landing. The grainy footage showed the truck driving down a dark road, eventually parking in a secluded area. The sight of the truck, shrouded in darkness, sent chills down the spines of those who watched the footage. It was a crucial piece of evidence that would play a significant role in the investigation. It was the last place Heather's car was seen. The empty parking lot, illuminated by dim streetlights, became a symbol of the mystery surrounding her disappearance. The Peachtree Landing sign, standing silently in the night, marked the spot where Heather's trail went cold. The community, gripped by fear and uncertainty, would never forget the night Heather vanished. Section 6. A race against time. The search for Heather begins. When Heather failed to show up for work the following day, alarm bells sounded. Her family, friends, and the entire community rallied together, launching a desperate search for the missing young woman. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The search for Heather Elvis became a national news story. Law enforcement worked tirelessly, following every lead and chasing down every dead end. But Heather was gone, vanished without a trace. Section 7. Unraveling the truth, the investigation, and the trial. The investigation into Heather's disappearance was complex and fraught with challenges. Suspicion immediately fell upon Sidney and Tammy Moorer. The prosecution presented a compelling case, highlighting the Moorers' suspicious behavior and incriminating evidence. The defense countered, maintaining the couple's innocence and pointing to inconsistencies in the prosecution's narrative. The trial captivated the nation, the courtroom packed with spectators and media eager for answers. Section 8. Guilty or not guilty? lingering questions and speculations. After a lengthy trial, the jury reached a verdict. Sidney and Tammy Moorer were found guilty of kidnapping and sentenced to 30 years in prison. However, the murder charges were dropped due to insufficient evidence. Despite the convictions, many questions remained unanswered. Heather's body was never found, leaving a gaping hole in the hearts of her loved ones. Theories and speculations swirled around the case, each more unsettling than the last. Section 9. A family's unending search for justice and closure. The disappearance of Heather Elvis remains an unsolved mystery. Her family, forever marked by their loss, continue to seek answers. They cling to hope, praying for the day they might finally find closure. Heather's story is a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the devastating consequences of love gone wrong. It is a tale of betrayal, deceit, and the enduring power of hope in the face of unimaginable loss.